It's been a little while since I made a major watch purchase, and I mean a major watch purchase. Today, we're taking a look at my latest addition to my collection. It's a tourbillon, the first Swiss tourbillon that I have ever owned, and it's from Angelus. This is a beast of a watch, and it's always been on my list of watches that I want, my Grail watch list. So let's flip the camera and take a hands-on look at my latest purchase, an incredible tourbillon from Angelus. And here is the watch. The reason why I have always loved this watch is because it's so extravagant. It's definitely a luxury watch. It's really the definition of a luxury watch. It's in excess. It's completely unnecessary. It's a diving tourbillon made out of grade 5 titanium. It's skeletonized and it has 300 meters of water resistance. It just doesn't make sense at all. It's big, it's around 46 millimeters, but it wears like a tool watch. And I would say it wears like a tuna from Seiko, or, like a large tool watch. It doesn't wear very large on the wrist because you have these lugs that turn down. Also, I put it on a different strap because the strap that it came on had molded ends. And if you take that off, it actually wears more like a tuna or something like that. And actually wears smaller than a tuna, I would say, in my opinion. You have two crowns here. Those are screwed in. One operates the time telling portion and, of course, winding the watch. The other one right over here operates the inner rotating bezel. So this gets an inner rotating bezel. And it is lume. So there's not a lot of lume. It's probably my biggest complaint about this watch, but that is really expected from a brand like Angelus. They don't really pay attention to the lume. That's not something that they do. I think they should, but that's what it is. The case is very complicated on these watches. When you look at it from its side, it's skeletonized. You have all these different lines of polish, brushing. You have a helium escape valve. You have a display case back. You get to see that movement, and that movement is very, very beautiful. It is skeletonized and darkened. Basically, the entire thing is darkened except for key components. One of those components is the main barrel where you can see that mainspring, and it is skeletonized. So when you wind the watch, you could see how much you have wound the watch. So it's basically like a power reserve. The only place that the movement is signed is right there where you have the Angelus A, and that is it. It's a beautiful movement, and it is beautifully executed and finished. The case back is really nice. It's screwed in, of course, because this does get 300 meters of water resistance. Another place where it is not darkened is, of course, the tourbillon right there. That cage, it has a flying tourbillon. It just looks great. And, a lot of people will say, what the hell is the point of a tourbillon? I have said it myself. There really isn't much of a point to it. But this is an extremely accurate watch. I put it on my timegrapher, and this came out to, I think, plus or minus 2 seconds per day, something like that. So it's very, very accurate, which is great. And then, of course, you have the keyless works right here. So when you unscrew this crown, and it sounds really good when you wind it. When you unscrew the crown, it pops out, and it's a little bit of a canister crown, but you could see when I pull it out, those keyless works, you could see them move around. It's kind of cool to see that, and then you could change the time. Also, when you push it into the first position, winding is beautiful. It has a really nice winding action. I've noticed that most Le Joux Perret, high-end Le Joux Perret, have a really beautiful winding action. Feels notably better than any other brand that I have experienced. So that's also one of the reasons why, not the main reason why, and I didn't really know that until I owned a higher end version of one of Le Joux Perret's movements, but it is something that is pretty nice about this watch. So just screw that crown in, and now you have 300 meters of water resistance. You also have an inner rotating bezel. Something cool about this, it does ratchet, which is, kind of odd, but you feel very distinct clicks. You don't hear it, but you definitely feel the clicks, and it really does feel nice. And when you move a little quicker, you actually could hear it a little bit, but there you go. And then right at the top is the Angelus A. That's really The only place on the watch that it's signed, other than that, Angelus is signed on the underside of the slightly domed sapphire crystal. That's it. It's very slightly domed, as you can see. And then you have the Angelus A on both of those screwed-in crowns. Very complicated. They protrude a lot. If they didn't do that, this would wear a little bit smaller, but there you go. And then you have a really nice bifolding clasp here, which looks really nice as well. It's held together with screws. It's just really nicely finished. It's in grade 5 titanium. Like I said, the only thing I didn't like about this watch when I got it was, of course, the strap. It was basically a brand new strap, but I really did not like it. So I replaced it with an Artham strap. This is a green strap. It's one of their loopless designs, although I have added loops because I have the clasp that it originally came with. However, they also make them in this design, which is a looped version. So you do have a loop here. I took one off because I only like to have one. And that's it. So you can see this comes with their, it's a spring-loaded clasp, which works really well. And it's basically the same as this strap, except it's in full black and you have black stitching. I really like these straps. It's rubber on the back. It looks like sailcloth on the front, but I believe this is rubber, and it is really, really nice. And then I have another one here. This is the blue version. And I'll show you the blue and the black on the watch itself. But this is the blue version, the blue with the white stitching. This is also the loopless design because this does not have loops. But you could use these with the buckles that they come with, or the clasps that they come with, or you could use it with the clasp or buckle that you would get with the watch itself. Obviously, I went with the best that you can get because Artham are technically, I would say, the best strap that you can buy outside of buying OEM because they are as good as OEM. So that's the reason why I went with these, and you get the color that you want, you get the style that you want because they have plenty of different versions. They actually came out with some wild colors in the loopless designs, which I think is really cool. So that's why I went with them, and I think it looks really good on this watch. Let me show you the watch on my wrist, and I will do measurements really quickly. I'll show you what I have on my wrist. Today on my wrist, I have another watch with a very high-end Le Joux Perret movement inside. This is my Maran Musi GMT Sport. And yes, this gets a beautiful movement as well. I would say just as beautiful as the movement that we are looking at today. However, it's obviously not skeletonized. This is really a beautiful watch with 300 meters of water resistance in grade 5 titanium. I think you could see a theme here on the style of watches that I like. It's large, titanium, and it has a beautiful movement. So there you go. And there it is on my 7.5-inch wrist. Yes, it does look large. It does not feel large. And I feel like it doesn't wear large, in my opinion. It's a 45.3 millimeter watch, and it's 12 millimeters thick with 300 meters of water resistance. I think that's really good because you have a display case back, and obviously it's entirely skeletonized. And you have a long lug to lug of around 54 millimeters, 53 and change. But again, because of those lugs, it really does not wear very large. It looks kind of large on my wrist, I think, in certain situations, but in certain situations, I think it wears pretty well. Tell me what you guys think down in the comments below. I love this watch. Very quickly, let's do a lume shot. Well, there you go. Lume, not bad. It's not terrible at all. I wish they put a little bit of lume on that inner rotating bezel. I think that would be really cool. Or maybe some of the other elements on the skeletonized movement, but they did lume the running seconds hand, which is excellent. The hands are very liberally applied with lume. And then there are these little dashes that go around the entire dial, or lack of dial, the movement, and those are filled with lume, and they are pretty decently applied with lume. So you definitely can see that this is working in the dark, and you can tell the time in the dark. That is pretty good. I've owned other large dive watches like the Planet Ocean, which is a 46 millimeter watch, around 17 millimeters thick, that didn't get great lume. This gets pretty good lume compared to maybe a watch like that. This was a very expensive watch. It came out to around $14,000 is what I paid for it. A lot of money. I sold a bunch of watches to get this. Do I regret that? No, because it was always a watch that I wanted in my collection. I do miss some of the watches that I sold. I don't know if I'll ever be able to get those back, but right now this is the watch that I wanted, so that's the watch that I bought. Maybe one day I'll retrieve some of those watches that I sold. But here we are. I think it's really good looking. Tell me what you think down in the comments below. I think the wow factor, the cool factor of this watch, for me, is not going to wear off. I think it's something that I always want to keep in my collection, but I say that right now, but maybe one day I won't. This was a lot more expensive when it was at retail. It was like $36,000. And then I think right now, if you want to buy one from Angelus, they cost around $50,000. So the prices have gone up on these. Very limited edition, very limited production on these as well. Only 25 of this color were made. Anyway, guys, thank you for logging on. Thank you for watching. I will catch you guys in the next video.